Okay, welcome. This is a training on getting started with Droplet, but specifically for those of you who will be managing the submissions that come in. So this could be secretaries, it could be HR team or payroll team, whoever is managing or taking a look at any of the form submissions. This is the training for you. We'll give you some tools and some ideas for how you can manage that on your end. My name is Shanna. I am the customer education manager here at Droplet. My whole purpose here is to make sure that you understand this platform and have the information that you need to be successful in this in Droplet and increase your productivity. So if you have questions, concerns, feedback on any education material, please reach out to me or any of my team members at support@droplet.io, and we will love to help you make the best of this system. So we'll be discussing managing forms and taking action on submissions, and hopefully have a little bit of time for questions. But I do have Bryn here who will be managing the chat and throwing in some helpful links for you to our knowledge base. So if you do have questions that come up for you during this training, please feel free to reach out in the chat or unmute yourself, and I'd love to answer those for you. Before we get started and jump right into the forms and submission management, I did want to cover this really quickly. This is the default account permissions and versus admin or some extensive account permission. Everyone who logs into the system for the first time will have the defaulted account permissions, which you see on the left-hand side, where it's just showing a home screen, the assignments that they have, their submissions, and if they click into all submissions, it's only the ones that they have submitted themselves or are assigned to. And on the right-hand side, there are additional permissions to be able to see the insights page, the forms page, organization, so who has an account within your organization, and further permissions within the all submissions. So if you are not seeing the things that you would like to be seeing or should be seeing, please reach out to your platform administrator. Or if you are the platform administrator and you want some assistance in giving people different roles and permissions, please reach out to support@droplet.io, and we'd love to help you with that. We want to make sure that everybody is seeing the necessary things, but not necessarily everything. So we know that that can be a bit overwhelming and reduce the productivity if they're seeing more than they need to be seeing. Okay, some of you may need to be managing forms as well as the submissions. So let's start by looking at the forms page. Oftentimes, school districts or other organizations share these links to these forms to a website or some other external system, and they need to update their old links on those. I wanted to call out that the links for any of these forms are updated no matter how many versions you are up to. So if we take a look at our forms page, we can see all of the different forms that I have in this organization and what version they are at. So versions just are a way for us to be adding updates to your form without compromising any of the data on submissions from previous versions. This link to each form does not change no matter how many versions you are up to. So if you are adding that link to some external site, you will never need to update that. It'll just exist there. And you can access that from two different ways. One would be clicking that view form button and grabbing the URL straight from that page that pops up. And the other would be to copy link here from the three-dot menu and selecting copy link. If your form should only accept submissions during a certain time, you can manage this here instead of removing from an external site and then putting it back on. So if, for example, I'm only accepting applications for a certain time period, and neither of these are published, they're just practice forms. I can disable this form so it will no longer accept any submissions. So I can close that link without having to remove it from an external site. And when I need to open that back up again, instead of disable, it will say enable here, and I will be able to enable that form. You can also, from this forms page, update what we call the form card. So each of these sections with information about the form are the form card. So here we can edit the form, the name or the description. There's a couple buttons here. If it is only people within my organization that will be needing to fill out this form, I can require that they sign in to view this form and that they are only able to submit it from a signed in account to prevent anybody from outside the organization submitting any of these forms. So your platform administrator, or if you're working with Droplet implementation consultants, may have already set up tags for your account. These are pretty useful in your organization in setting up roles, and that's something that we discuss later this week in our platform administrator training. But you can set up tags here, which if you have lots of forms, you can filter by tag or by status. So if it's published or unpublished, it's a helpful way to organize these forms. So a typical way is to do it by department or by type. So if you have enrollment forms or onboarding forms or forms that are used for different departments, you can use a tag. And what we do is we check whatever form or forms we would like, and we select the actions, and we can add tags, remove tags, manage tags here. I can delete either of these or add a new one here and save. If you are doing bulk submissions to a form, you will need to start a bulk submission from this forms page. And you do that. So bulk submission forms need to be set up in a specific way. So if you have questions on that, feel free to reach out to support@droplet.io. I'm not going to dive too deeply into that, but I want to show you how to access it. And so you select whatever form you are doing bulk submit on, you click the three dots, click bulk submit. It will let you know. See, it's not available on this form, but if I try the teacher contract bulk submissions label for me, I will be able to download the template and insert all my data into that spreadsheet, upload the spreadsheet, and submit all of those submissions all at once through this page. Okay, so now we want to get into the bulk of this meeting, which is on submission information here. So we know you manage many moving parts when it comes to data, so the bulk of your time will likely be spent here. This all submissions page on Droplet. Depending on your permissions, you will either see every submission to every form your organization has with Droplet, or a limited number of submissions that are filtered by form or department or some other restriction. And these are all of those restrictions are defined within that roles and permissions, which we will cover later this week in our platform administrator training. On the all submissions page, you can see a submission's current status on this side here. In progress means that it is still moving through the workflow. Not started means that a draft has been started on this form. Draft data is not recorded in the all submissions page. Any saved data as well, because that is what we consider protected information. So if I click into this, I won't be able to see any of the data that they have entered in. But you can see that a draft has been created on the submission. Or you might see completed here. That means it's gone through the whole workflow. And rejected if it's on here, but I can filter by status type. So the other one is rejected. So if there's something wrong with the submission or the process just requires a rejection if it doesn't meet certain standards, you will see that here on this status. You can filter submissions here by lots of different things. This is a super powerful feature. We can submit it, we can filter by the created, updated, or completed dates. Give it a window or a after or before. We can filter, probably what I filter a lot by is by form. So I can search all of the forms that I have access to in all submissions. And I can filter to only see the submissions for that form. And you can also filter by status, which I had already showed you. So if I want to see all the in progress submissions, I can do that here. Can also stack if I wanted to also filter the date to see, you know, it's been created before. And I know a lot of these were created before this time anyway, but created before this date, because I really want to get those moving, they stack. So I'm seeing all of the in progress submissions that were created before that time period. If I want to look through those or perform different actions, I can do that. Some of you may need to download submissions as PDFs and store them in digital or even physical personal files. You can start by using the search or filters to find the submissions that you are needing to print for. And then you'll want to take action. So if I'm looking only for completed forms for a certain form, and I am striking out on these forms. Okay, what's the first one here? Kickoff, student athletics volunteer. I'm gonna filter for that. Okay, there's only one, which is fine. I found the one that I wanted, and I need to download that form. I can download it as a PDF. I can adjust some of the formatting here to give it compact and reduced margins. If my form includes uploaded files, I want to make sure that I'm including those private uploads. And by clicking this, it will give me a link when I download it on the PDF to those files. Or if the files are compatible, I can add them on. And if I had what would happen is if I had a compatible PDF that was uploaded, it would just tack on another page here with that PDF or with that file information, or I can put them all into a zip file. I can also include any submission details, so activity log or general information with data verification key within that download. If I need to be doing it, say I had multiple and I am just doing an export to a spreadsheet so I can gather that information. Same thing, if I have multiple, I will select multiple. If I want to select the whole page, I can click this checkbox up here. And then I'm going to want to export. So here you can decide the file type, any formatting options. If you have table data within your form, you can have that all in line, including links to private upload files, and deselecting all droplet data. So this is droplet information in the brackets here. So things like submission ID version, submitted by name and submitted by email, which you might not need. Sometimes you do need those options. And then you can also select to keep your formatting options the same for the next time that you do a download or export. Excuse me. I can also choose which of the fields from the form I would like to include in my export. So if I don't need the address information, I will deselect that. And I want to include everything else. That's how I do it. And I export it to a file which will download for you. Okay. So the next thing that we'll want to discuss is being able to manage workflows within your all submissions page. And when I say manage workflows, I mean checking in and seeing where a form is at within the workflow. And I am going to filter by in progress forms because that's the most applicable. You can view what we call the activity log, which will give you an update on what has happened since the submission has been created. So I see who created it, on what date, who it was assigned to next, what action they performed on it, if it was assigned to anybody else. Here I could see that it was rejected and unrejected, then assigned to somebody, rejected. I can check all of this information and the dates to make sure that it is looking right, or if something's stuck, I can kind of see what was going on to try to get an idea of why it's stuck. So if somebody is on vacation, their submissions, or they're sick and their submissions that are waiting for their action, somebody else is taking over those responsibilities. You can change the assignment for that workflow step. It won't change what is happening at that moment within the form, just who it's assigned to, so who has access to it. So here, let's say Marley superintendent is unavailable. I'm going to want to assign that to somebody else. So Aaron HR, who will then be able to complete the next steps in this form, so it's not held up by Marley superintendent. You also, so I showed you just a quick, easy way to find the users that are logged, and you can also select someone else here where you enter in the name and email. The new assignee will receive an email with the link, and they can use that to complete their workflow step. And the submission will drop back into the expected workflow assignment for the next step. So it won't alter anything that happens after that. just gives you an opportunity to kind of bypass the assignment if that person is unavailable. On rare occasions, someone may be assigned to a submission upon completion. So when that status is complete, or you may need to stop a submission from progressing, you can remove that assignment by checking the box. Then actions, and then unassign. This will halt the progress. It won't move forward in the workflow. So there are cases where that is necessary. That is an option for you. And then you always have the option to assign. You can also use the remind feature to send a quick reminder email to anyone assigned to a submission. You do this by selecting the submission or multiple submissions. And so let me grab a few of these and then clicking this remind from the actions dropdown. And I can select each of these if I want to edit the email. I have the option to add information here. So reminder, get this done ASAP, whatever you need to write here to make sure people are fulfilling their responsibilities with these forms. And I can edit any of the data within the body as well. And then I can send that reminder email to all those people that have been selected. Another action that is used rarely is the unreject feature. So if I have any forms or any submissions that have been rejected, I do have the option, and maybe they were rejected unintentionally. I do have the option to unreject this. That one failed. Some of these are old submissions. But that will unreject it and put it back into the workflow step that it was at when it was rejected. The last thing that I want to discuss, I guess, with submissions is a method of organizing the submissions that come through. So as you can see, I have 174 submissions, which is kind of a lot if I want to be managing all of these and I need to find information. Of course, we have the ability to filter and search, but all of these completed ones, everything that is necessary for me to do outside of Droplet. So if it's a student registration packet, I've entered all their information into our school system, added them to a classroom. I don't know. Everything that needs to be done for that's already been done. So I don't need to pay attention to this anymore. It's just in the way. I can archive the submission, so it won't be within this view, which is my active view. I do have the option to change it to view both active and archived, or only archived. But that's a good way to keep your submissions a little bit more organized, so that you're only seeing the ones that you need to take action on. And if you need to unarchive a submission, you do have that option here. And I want to point out that this is not an action that's only applied to your specific view of the submissions form. This is, if you archive a submission, it will be archived for everybody involved. So be very mindful that you are not archiving active in progress submissions that could halt the progress of the form, because you've completed the things that you need to on your end, but other people may need to be completing theirs. So those are the actions you can take on the all submissions page. If you have packets included in your contract, you can access submissions from the packets menu view here. So I can see all of the active packets right now, and I can click view submissions to be able to see everything that Carlos teachers should be doing in their onboarding packet and where they are at. So if I need to send reminders, I can do that here. The last thing I wanted to go over quickly is just the insights page. If you have access to that, there's a pretty powerful button here, this ongoing, which will filter all of your in progress submissions that were created 2 weeks ago. This is a great way to just bulk grab and remind so that all of these submissions get moving. But that is everything that I had for you today. If you have any questions, please stick around. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.